Hi and welcome to this next edition of the Sonic Academy video tutorials. My name's Jim Rivers and I'm going to be doing a series of videos going into how I write and produce my music, some of the techniques I use, some of the plugins and things like that that really help with what I do. So hopefully you'll find it interesting and there'll be plenty to learn. I'm going to be using two programs, Logic and Ableton, and the way that I work is I have Ableton rewired into Logic. So I'll start off by just very quickly showing you how you do that. Now basically all rewire means is that in simplest terms, Ableton runs off of the MIDI clock of Logic, so everything stays in sync, but Logic is the kind of the master program, if you like. So the important thing to remember when rewiring is that you always open Logic first and then you open Ableton afterwards. Now I've already got these open to save some time, but I'll show you how you set up how you rewire them together. So if you open up your mixer pane, scroll along, I've already got mine set up here, but what you would do is you go to Options, Create New Auxiliary Channel Strips. I'm just going to add one extra one here for now. The key thing here is the input. You can obviously change the format to stereo, as generally I guess that's what you'll be using. The input part is where we just tell Logic and Ableton which way we want it to go. So we're just going to have the input of Ableton Live coming into Logic. So you just click on that, click Create, and it creates an auxiliary channel here for you. As you can see, I've got a bunch already set up here. What I will also do is I just turn this tab here to read so that the auxiliary channel is then seen in the arrange window. So now, very simply, Ableton is patched through into Logic. So if we flick back to Ableton, now some of the more basic stuff about Ableton and Logic, you can find out much more beginner stuff on the Sonic Academy website. So if there's things that I'm doing that you're not sure about, then maybe check out one of those other videos, because I don't need to go into all the real simple stuff. But basically, Ableton is now synced up with Logic. We've got a number of ways that we can input into Logic. We can have it all going in on one master output from Ableton to the input of Logic, or we can break it down into individual channels. Now what it does here is they send out of buses in Ableton, so bus 3 and 4, bus 5 and 6, etc. And this then comes into Logic on a number of different channels here. So the master mix, bus 3 and 4, bus 5 and 6. So ultimately what that gives you is control over individual sounds, and you can either manipulate the sounds using stuff in Ableton or Logic or both. So using these two programs together is a big part of how I now create my music. So let's get cracking and I'll show you what I'm going to do. So first of all, what I've put in straight away is just a simple kick drum. And you can also see there that I've got a ghost kick as well, which is something that I often set up in case I want to use compression and things like that, which I'll obviously explain as we go along. So I always look for a nice, crisp, decent starting point for a kick drum. Nice and fat, nice and sort of round sounding kick drum. Got a nice bit of punch on the front of it, but a nice bit of boom and sub on the lower end of it. So that's a nice vibe for me. If I flick across into Ableton, you can see already here that I've got a few things knocked in. Now this track that I'm going to be showing you is a track I did a little while ago. I decided to break it down and bring it back to how I started it, and then build it up so you can see what I did. So some of the settings and things are already kind of partially set up, but that's good for this video because it saves me mucking around with all that sort of rubbish. So I've got a number of things here that I'm going to use. So for example, we've got a shaker. A few different parts there. Some of it is stuff that I have originally taken out of loops and stuff in Ableton, and then I've remade my own loops, which ultimately end up in Logic, which I'll show you as we go through the videos. So to save some time, I've kind of put them into loop formats again and put them back into Ableton. Now the way that I've gone about making certain loops in Ableton is often I just will find a pattern like this one here that I'm going to play now, this one. There's a lot of bass going on there. Let me just put a low cut on the kick just so we can hear what we're doing a little bit. There we go. Flick back into Ableton. So that glitch loop there, that's got a lot of really cool sounds in it, but it's also got a lot of stuff in there that I don't really want. Now originally what I heard in this sound is some of the little pops and stuff. So let's just have a little listen. I think one of these ones here is something that I use, so let's have a listen. Yeah, this bit here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to highlight this individual sound by using the envelope. Now this is a tool I use loads in Ableton. Just a really simple way to just cut and splice out chunks of loops. Like this. So I really like that little sound and I put that into another part of a loop. I also liked other parts of this sound, and basically what I go about doing is I will dissect different parts from different loops or sound sources, whether it's loops that you buy from Loop Masters, for example, whether it's stuff I've taken off of vinyl, whether it's stuff that I've gone out and used with my field recorder, but often I'll put them into Ableton because the power of Ableton is its ability to kind of manipulate and be creative with that kind of thing, and I love it for that. So I just wanted to show you one of the loops that I would have got it out of. Now the one that it's gone into, I think, is this. Maybe not, this one. So you can hear these bits here are those like kind of almost like weird alien sound things, and other little bits that have been chopped in and out. Now I did all that stuff over, I don't know, over half an hour in Ableton when I was originally working on this track, and I try and pick out bits of loops rather than just take a whole loop. Now there's nothing wrong with taking entire loops. I mean, that's kind of what a lot of these companies make their loops for you to use, but the one thing I think is crucial is that if you just take all the loops, it's going to sound like everyone else. It's not going to sound fresh. It's not going to have your own identity and stamp on it, and you know, you want to stand out from the crowd. So we'll come back into Ableton in a little while. Let me put into Logic some of the loops and stuff that I created, and you can hear the rough groove that I got going. So all I'm going to do, there's a good little shortcut I like to use on here. If you just press Control and click your mouse, you can add an audio file direct into the arrange there. Now I've got some of these already set up. That's the wrong one. Let's go into the right one. Where are we? Music. Here we go. I've got some of these ones that I've already got. So I've got some of these perk parts, which I'll load in now. Using that shortcut again is a really nice quick way to directly put stuff in. Now you can do it other ways as well, but I quite like this one because it just allows me to drop it into the right channel that I want. Although I'm probably putting them in the wrong place at the moment, but we'll adjust that in a minute. Where are we? Clap. And another clap. That sounds like Carol Vorderman on Countdown. And a consonant, please. Double hat. Okay, let's just move some of that around. So I've already labelled some of the channels here. As I said, there's some stuff that I had pre-prepared because this was a track that I'd worked on before. So, you know, I'm sure you'll get the idea. So let's just whack these in the right channels because I've got certain effects and stuff on some of them. Now, the process of using Ableton and Logic together, I've found has really changed how I write music. I don't know if many of you heard the album that I wrote for Intech. That was a real kind of changing point for me. I did a lot of stuff where I was being very creative with an Ableton and finding it really, really useful and very powerful tool, really. Now let's just have a little go. So I've got a few elements here, have a listen. Drop the kick back in. So now you can see some of the little bits. You've got the little cutouts of loops that I've done here and here. Now they, again, all were taken from original stuff that I was playing around with, whether it had a vibe or a groove. It was all that kind of thing. So I've got my elements that I'm going to start building the track on here. I will go into, very briefly, start to go into some of the ways that I manipulate those sounds, some of the ways that I like to affect and develop my drums, and I'll start to show you how I added some of the melodic stuff and the vibes to the rest of the track. So check back for my next video where we'll take this track on to the next stage. Until then, I've been Jim Rivers and this is Sonic Academy. Thanks a lot.